The first presentation for today is by Mr. Sandeep Rege, and he will be speaking on best foundry practices in Mahindra and Mahindra's foundry. He is a mechanical engineer with diploma in foundry technology. He has over 35 years of experience in the field, and he has a wide experience in the heat treatment. He is a subject matter expert of heat treatment in Mahindra's. He is a very active member of ASM and IAF, and he is a Six Sigma belt. So I present to you Mr. Sandeep Rege. Mr. Sandeep Rege, please take over.
Good morning, respected juries, senior dignitaries of IFC. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sandeep Rege, heading Foundry and Heat Treatment of Automotive Division, Kandivali Plant, Mahindra and Mahindra. I welcome you all and take you through the case study on innovations and developments in foundry processes of our foundry, Kandivali. Before going to our innovation case studies, let's understand why innovation projects are important. And all of us know India ranked 5th in GDP in the world and on its way to 4th. If we correlate GDP growth and the global scenario of innovation and manufacturing index, India ranked 52nd and 30th position respectively. To become part of top 10 in both these indices, we need to lay our focus on key thrust parameters of fostering innovation, leverage human capital, promote sustainable development, and protect intellectual property. Our case study is aligned to this. A brief overview of our foundry, Grey Cast Iron Foundry, commissioned in 1971, producing complicated castings of cylinder block and heads. We have won many IIF prestigious awards of IIF, like Best Foundry of the Year, Green Foundry of the Year, Best 5 Years of the Year, and Best Kaizen. And we have also very recently won Quality Sustainability Award at international level. In this cost competitive era, manufacturing a cost competitive product is really a challenge in foundry industry. Yield improvement has always been a priority to become cost competitive. So our first case study is of yield improvement of our cylinder block. Our team took this challenge and left no stones unturned to improve yield by modifying the gating system. So finally, we received 3 kg of metal and it helped us to improve our yield by around 2.5%. Second case study, where the innovation for improving the productivity. In before condition, the vent drilling of HPML was done manually. It was also 8,000 vents per shift was also working on this fatigue of our people. So we thought of something else which we have to do. And we have worked with one of the supplier and which helped us to improve our auto poking system and which has helped our productivity to improve by 50%. And the casting defect was reduced which was due to the mold sand, metal rod formation, etc. And this has been patented product. In this case study, which is third case study, thyristor heating system on core shooter. Earlier there was a conventional contactor type system which was getting on and off when it was getting lower and at the upper specification of plus minus 10 degrees centigrade. This was also yielding the heater life. And because of this, the life of the heater was also going down, and it was reducing our energy, increasing our energy consumption. To improve this, we did advanced electronic PID control system, which helped the die temperature to maintain between 5 to 5 degrees centigrade plus minus, which has also benefited in our improving the life of heaters. The case study of number 4th, which is mist and cool type dust separation system on sand plant. The foundry sand plant area which we have has the highest temperature of around 60 to 70 degrees centigrade usually, because of this open type of belt conveyors and operational limitations, resulting into the moisture reduction of around 0.5% from the sand mixer to the molds where we were making the molding line. So this mist and cool system helped us to improve our system and reduce the ambient temperature considerably, with also helping us sustainable development, where the dust of the this sand plant used to get settled and the area also was clean. The nozzle design modification, which was done from taper to inverted taper, this is under patent, so I cannot divulge more of this thing about it. But this has helped us to improve our, save our opportunity cost of around 7.2 crore, where the mold, this changing of this, our VAT nozzle was taking a longer time. From 75 minutes, we have brought it down to 26 minutes. And which has helped us improve our mold OLE, that is our this efficiency of the molding line. This has also helped into reducing our energy cost. We have won our internal driving positive change Mahindra Rise Award for where we have competed with the all six plants of auto sector, which has helped us get this prize. Apart from these innovative case studies, I will share some of the technological upgradations done in our foundry related to Industry 4.0, leveraging the Industry 4.0. First digitization project we have implemented was Foundry EMS board. Earlier, the operator used to take all this data manually and writing down in the register and then entering into PC, and it was taking long time, and also the decision making was tough. This EMS dashboard has helped us to improve our decision making and helped us to, it also threw up a lot of things which we could improve. First of such kind is a furnace cold start optimization. This improved has thrown up that we have a metal which is 15 minutes which is getting held up before the pouring, which was also eating our energy. So that we have worked on, and because of this EMS dashboard, we could work on it and reduce our energy consumption for 15 minutes every charge. Second, another observation of EFS dashboard was that the high energy unit consumption at press pour furnace to maintain liquid metal of 1450 degrees centigrade due to conduction heat loss through the refractory walls of press pour, leading to higher temperature of vat body to the tune of around 200 degrees centigrade. We introduced our refractory brick lining along with the existing lining material. As a result, vat body temperature went down to by around 50 degrees centigrade to 150 degrees centigrade, and it helped us to improve electrical energy. The technological upgradations did not stop there. We also started it in core shooters, where the machine and process parameters were being monitored. We started monitoring on this. We connected this with our FX5 series Mitsubishi HMI, where all the machines and process parameters monitoring, like online, die life monitoring, energy consumption monitoring, hourly production monitoring, hourly rejection monitoring, phenomena-wise and product-wise rejection monitoring, breakdown time monitoring, and lastly, online die temperature monitoring, which has helped us in many ways. Under technological upgradations, we have also done frugal yet innovative low-cost automations. First of such kind is cylinder head core assembly dip painting machine with auto viscometer, which helped us to give the right viscosity of the deep core wash. Within say after 24 cycles, this machine automatically stops if the viscosity is not checked, and unless it is checked and registered and corrected, it doesn't start off. This is one of the this is also a patented system. Also, the second system is cylinder head core assembly auto drilling machine, where we have done welds plug here or welds plug of head core assembly were drilled and loose sand were cleaned manually. But now we have developed a low-cost automation machine which has improved our productivity considerably, which can drill and clean the sand automatically. Both the machines are under patent. Third machine is water jacket matching machine. If you see, before we used to blow the candles of water jacket cores was rubbed by some manually filing the cores, which we have done it through this machine, which has helped with the rotating motor, electric motors, which has helped our reduce our energy consumption. We have reduced our increased our productivity there. Fourth machine is for a tappet drilling and blow candle deburring machine. In blow candle deburring machine, it was getting rubbed through the manual 10-inch flat files. Now we have designed and developed a low-cost automation. Low-cost. I'm sorry, if you could do something about it. Yeah.
Number 1 for foundry equipment. Number 10 for foundry raw material. Number 12, producer along with foundry machinery and raw.
Yeah. So LC machine, which is in-house, we have developed, which rubs the blow candles and helps with the help of grinding stone and simultaneously being drilled by pneumatic cylinder. The third one is the sustainability. Under sustainability, we have used energy efficient products to improve energy productivity through different type of motors, IE3 motors, pumps, various type of fans, MLDL fans, ACs, lighting, LED lightings, and to improve renewable energy share through solar and windmill. Apart from this, with the help of patented technology of rainwater harvesting from Mrs. Furat, we have adopted this unique way of rainwater harvesting, wherein the runoff water gets collected into the holding tank. Each and every employee in the operational excellence, we have also done a lot of things. We have a daily work management, which is regularly being followed. Each and every employee's goals are aligned to our company's major goal, vision, and policy deployment through key management indices, key process indices, and finally key activity indices. So even to the lowest level of our associate, at the associate level, they know what are our Promise 22 and what are their targets. In the second operational excellence, we have also taken the help of lean manufacturing. Of course, the lean manufacturing is known to everybody, need not explain it. But under the lean manufacturing, we already implemented and continued the green highlighted these lean tools and practicing the TPM. Productivity, line balancing, these are data analytics, TQM, innovations and digitizations. Also, we are aspired to practice product-based value chain mapping in near future. 5S. 5S is the system for organizing better workplace, as you all know. So this workplace helps us to efficiently and effectively, also the safety-wise, it helps us very nice. With this 5S, the morale of our people, associates and the people working around helps to improve very greatly. This system focuses on putting everything where it belongs and keeping the workplace clean, which makes people easier to do their jobs without wasting time or risking injury. We at M&M, part of daily work management, 5X activities, every Thursday, HOD visits one of the departments randomly and joins the regular visits for pickup round, in which we pick up all the unwanted material, place it, and then discard it, whichever is really not required. So these things have helped us in operational excellence. Fourth one is total productive maintenance. Of course, you all know total productive maintenance in the base for Mahindra, it is based on 8-pillar approach, where first is autonomous maintenance, second is focused improvement, Third is planned maintenance. Fourth is quality maintenance. Fifth is education and training, development management, safety, health and environment, and office GPM. This has helped immensely in the operational excellence of our foundry. Zero injury approach. In zero injury approach, we have three-pronged strategy. One is reactive approach, second is proactive approach, and third is building safety culture. And this, with the inculcating of safety culture, working by total employee participation, focuses on continual training to gain knowledge and skill by individuals with the aim of achieving and sustaining zero injuries. Encouraging participation in safety drive through reward and recognition systems as well. Employee engagement. Under employee engagement, apart from regular employee engagement activities and CSR activities, we have given special focus on skill development of employees. For the first time, we at M&M have started this new initiative of developing self-managed team leaders from the associates who are now managing the shop floors. For this, we have conducted specially designed exams for all associates as psychological tools, which has helped us to improve, select the people. And the people who were selected were being trained at engineering colleges for their training, and then they're deploying on the shop floors. So this has helped immensely in also line managers' efficiency. Of course, with this, there were a lot of awards and accolades which Mahindra Foundry has received so far. And one of the major prestigious IF, which is Foundry of the Year 2016. Second was at IMTMA Productivity Champion 2017, Quality Foundry of the Year Award 2019. IMTMA Productivity Champion 2016, IMTMA Productivity Champion 2018, 2020, Green Foundry of the Year, 5S Excellence Award for the Foundry, and the Mahindra Group Sustainability Award 2021. With all this, we have definitely got improved from by very great extent. And the productivity of white collar has gone up to 800 tons per man per year. Warranty failures have gone to zero. Productivity of blue collar, 80 tons per man per year. Injury rate zero, zero reportable, zero non-reportable, and zero first aid injuries for the last 5 years. Space productivity, 0.43 square meter per ton. Overall plant efficiency, 86%. Casting rejection at customer end, 0.85. And casting yield is 78 going towards 80 now. Thank you very much, and the forum is now open for question answers.
Thank you, Mr. Rege. Now the topic is open for questions. Maximum 2 questions we can entertain. So from the audience, please.
My question was about charge mix optimization, right? There is a lot of parameters that we can do with mathematical optimization of the charge mix in terms of the cost of the materials as well as the thermodynamic properties of the materials, so that we can calculate the theoretical electricity cost. So what are your initiatives to optimize the charge mix on a regular basis? Because there are these multiple parameters, number one. And number two, there is volatility in the price of raw materials, which changes the optimum solution.
Yeah, so that's where the agility comes in. So what we do is, with the help of daily work management, we know that what is the price of the material for the day, right? So what we do is, what is the input cost with the different materials? And these materials are changing so greatly every month, every day. The cost of materials goes up so daily. So we calculate that how we can work on the prices. And we calculate the prices of the charge mix. And then we do it with the cost in focus.
Sir, any patented computational model that you guys are running? I mean, I saw the
We
other
are,
things were patented, so.
we are working on it. We are working on it. We'll come out shortly for this. And we'll, of course, try and patent it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rege. We come to a close of the session, and I will request our Dr. Sinha to make a memento presentation to you.
Now here we are, a memento for Mr. Rege.
Thank you, sir. The second presentation will be Madam Jaya Dave. You know, in running the foundry, the human resource is one of the most important aspects, and how to retain our trained and useful employees is something which all of us are troubled with. So let us seek the opinion of and guidance of Mrs. Jaya Dave on this topic. Mrs. Jaya.
So very good afternoon to every one of you. Myself, Jaya Dave. I have done my master's from Faculty of Social Work, Baroda, and I have done my post-graduation from XLRI, Jamshedpur. And I'm working with Bhagwati Group of Foundries in Ahmedabad from 2009 onwards. So it's a great pleasure to be here in person for the IFEX event. Many congratulations to the IFEX team for successfully putting up this great event together. It's a matter of great pride and honor for me to represent my organization, and I would like to thank the chairman and the team for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my views on this topic. This to me means that finally we as a foundry industry are recognizing the importance of HR function. Before we begin on the subject, it is important to understand the profile of foundry industry in India. We have as many as 5,000 foundries in India, out of which majority, that is more than 80%, are small scale and 10% each are mid-sized and large-scale foundries. Foundry industry provides direct employment to about 500,000 people in the country. The peculiarity of Indian foundries is its geographical clustering. There are 5 major clusters in India: Belgaum, Kolhapur, Jalandhar, Coimbatore, and Rajkot. And the market segments they cater to are also specific to the region. Against this background, one can easily understand the contradictions in the job opportunities available in the foundry industry, especially when we say that only 10% each are in the mid-size and the large-scale sector. See, in mid-size and large-scale foundries, which make up about only 10 to 15% of the total foundry, there is growing need for qualified, high-skilled employees who have exposure to use of IT, automation, robotics, best practices in health and safety, and environment, and so on. Mr. Rege, we just saw in Mr. Rege's lecture, the kind of skill level required, even at the worker level, is tremendous. So in such foundries, the workforce required, even on the shop floor, would have to be literate, maybe at least an ITI or ability to read, write, and at least potential to get trained up. Whereas the smaller foundries, which make up about 80% of the total industry segment, which may not be so mechanized and would be labor intensive, would require hands on the shop floor. Workers who can actually carry out the shop floor activities manually, and also the supervisory group who are great in people skills, who are great in managing teams. The purpose of giving this background is to understand that any policy of any HR activity, be it for retention or any other, will have to be tailor-made for the organization. One needs to customize it, looking at the need of the organization, how the culture of the organization is, what is the geography of the organization. It cannot be a cut-paste tool and one size fits all. Against this background, let us go back to the subject. I'm reminded of a statement made by Sri Sadhguru in one of his conversations with Dr. T.V. Rao, who is a pioneer of HR domain in India, that human is not a resource, it is unlimited possibilities. I repeat, human is not a resource, it is unlimited possibilities. It is not one of the four M's, it is one of the four M's with unlimited possibilities. This statement has made such a deep impact on me and has stayed on with me from the moment I heard it. When we talk of humans, we are indeed talking about unlimited possibilities. They are the life and blood of an organization, and we really need to nurture and take care of them. So before understanding what employee retention is, we need to understand what employee turnover is. Employee turnover is a situation where employees exit the organization, maybe voluntarily or involuntarily. They are relieved by the organization or they retire. Whatever the case may be, it affects the organization most of the times in negative in terms of cost. Turnover is higher, especially on small and mid-sized foundries, as departing employees may be only one possessing a particular skill or a knowledge. So turnover is tougher in such foundries. They may not have internal pool to cover up lost employees' work. They may not have a replacement available. They may have fewer resources to cover the replacement cost. So employee retention strategies, they focus on avoidable voluntary turnover that is detrimental to the organization. Let us quickly have a look at what are some of the reasons why an employee leaves. To begin with, it could be personal reasons, work-life balance. There are a number of reasons for leaving a job that have nothing to do with the employer, such as the person might be required to relocate because of a family issue, health reason, career change, and so on. As I mentioned earlier, that one of the peculiarities of Indian foundry industry is its geographical clustering. One can source foundrymen from one of these 5-6 geographical locations. What I have experienced is that the employee may change the job for better profile, better pay and benefits, but if he is not able to shift with his family, because the children might be in crucial years of education, there are old parents to take care of, they don't want to shift from their native place, he stays away from the family, and it is not always possible to travel back and forth to be with the family. It is expensive, time-consuming, and of course, very tiring. If he is not able to manage this stress, he leaves the job. And if the organization is not able to take care of the crucial stage, this phase of the employee, then the organization might lose that employee. Incompatibility, work relationships. Incompatibilities between employer and employee, which can be traced back to poor hiring processes and decisions, are a common and largely avoidable reason for turnover. If someone leaves because of their boss, there is a failure in the company's hiring process itself. An employee didn't get enough exposure to their boss during the process. Or alternatively, if there is a history of employees leaving, then their boss was the bad hire in the first place. Sometimes it can be lack of opportunities. Employees who see a lack of workplace development, career path, may leave to gain new experiences and better career mobility. And of course, financial reasons, better pay and benefits available elsewhere are always a strong lure for employees to leave an organization. So, what is employee retention? Employee retention refers to the policies and processes involved in making employees stick to your organization for a longer tenure. It can be expressed as your organization's ability to retain top talent. It's an attempt to make your skilled and committed employees stay longer with your organization. Employee retention policies includes policies on compensation, employee engagement, performance, recognition, and so on. Employee retention in foundries, especially, has become a matter of concern for most HRs, especially with the heightened competition for talent in the market and the increasing job hopping nature among employees. Like everything, retaining employees is a process. It doesn't start when you get word that someone wants to leave. It has got an arc, starting with talent acquisition through to how you integrate the employee within your organization culture through various engagement processes, and it eventually ends with exit interviews and offboarding. Okay, let's quickly look at what are some of these strategies. Talent acquisition. The reason that the right employee retention strategies start right at the hire is because obviously if it is the wrong fit from the get-go, even if that person is brilliant, it's a doomed partnership to begin with. One needs to give a realistic job preview to the potential employee. It gives the potential employee a good idea of positive characteristics and the potential challenges associated with the job, as well as clear details of performance expectations and the company's management processes. Research shows that potential employees with an RJP helps him or her to decide if the job is for him or not. It helps employees also adjust easily and quickly to the new work environment. It is also wise to assess how well the candidate fits with the job and the organization through an organization-specific fit check tool. You need to list out what are the competencies required for the position you're looking for. You need to have competency-based interviews. You need to spend time in interviewing the candidate. This time spent is worth because it will help you get the right fit for the organization. It will help you assess whether the candidate is the right fit or not. I've seen foundries getting the best from the industry, but still losing them too soon because they didn't assess what they really needed. They didn't need the best from the industry, but they needed the best fit for their organization. Referral rate is a great leading indicator of retention. I myself source many candidates through reference. I've experienced that in our industry, hiring through referrals works out well in terms of right organizational fit and also long-term retention because the person who is referring knows the organization and the individual or the potential employee both. Okay, so now the employee has joined the company. You have got him on board. Now what? Next comes how well you integrate the employee in your organization culture. This process is called socialization. Very few foundries in the country have a systematic formal induction program for new hires. By this stage, the company has already invested in recruitment, selection of an employee. Losing an employee at this stage due to poor induction or no induction is a heavy cost to the organization. Good socialization practices would mean you have a structured onboarding and induction program. You assign experienced organizational insiders as maybe mentors or trainers. You give new hires positive feedback, and generally, the manager who is responsible for that employee, spends a lot of time with that employee in settling him down, making him understand the processes, people, and the challenges involved, scope for improvement, and making him comfortable, settle well in the role. Training and development. Research suggests that those who receive more training are somewhat less likely to quit than who receive little or no training. Future growth opportunities is one of the important considerations in taking up a new job. Continual training can take care of this aspiration as the employee gets to upgrade his skills and knowledge, and also growth opportunity if there is a suitable opening within an organization. And of course, organizations that fail to offer competitive salaries are at a disadvantage to attract or retain talent in the competitive market. Every organization needs to have its own rewards retention strategy. Research suggests several approaches. One of them is to lead the market with respect to rewards. However, it needs to be consistent with the organization's overall strategy and HR strategy. Other options could be linking pay with performance, linking rewards to retention, tailor rewards to individual needs, and so on. The organization needs to figure out what works best for them. Supervision. There is a popular maxim that goes, people don't leave jobs, they leave their bosses. Research supports this claim. The quality of interaction between the employee and his boss, fair treatment by the supervisor, etc., are all linked to employee retention. It is observed, especially in foundries, that individual contributors are made supervisors and managers without proper training or coaching. However, there is no guarantee that a good technical person will become a good supervisor too. Such people fail at handling team members, thus it affects your employee retention. Employee engagement. One study suggested that highly engaged employees were 5 times less likely to quit than employees who were not engaged. Highly engaged employees are satisfied with their jobs, they like their jobs, they take pride in their jobs, and believe that the employer values their contribution. We saw in Mr. Rege's lecture, how well they have defined the employee engagement calendar. Every HR should define their employee engagement calendar beginning of the year so that the employee knows what to look forward to during the year. Role of HR is becoming more and more crucial in the foundry industry. We need to realize that people processes are becoming more and more crucial, and they need to be handled with proper methodologies. They have a science and proper process behind it, like how you have for any other technical process. Foundries need to have a qualified HR. It is an investment, it's not a cost. They need to train all their managers in basic people processes like interviewing skills, induction training, identifying training needs, giving performance feedback, and so on. All managers, we need to remember this, all managers or all team leaders are HR managers first, and then whatever their function is. Also, as a long-term retention strategy, foundries should hire local youngsters, train them, and make them future ready. The key for hiring here should be, you hire for their attitude and train them for skill. I myself have done it in 2 of my plants. We have successfully done so for few of our supervisors and even workers. In the end, if you have thrown money, resources, and support at a retention problem, and it's still not any closer to resolution, the last best alternative is accepting people will leave. Take a proper exit interview and do the offboarding. Exit interview are a great insight into where you need to tweak into your policies or methodologies. The takeaway, like a good story, employee retention has a beginning. It begins with a right hire. You integrate the employee in the company culture, and he stays on. And if the inevitable happens, then accept that people will leave and transition out. Thank you. I have a 2-minute video. Can somebody please help? In the last second slide, it's a 2-minute video which beautifully summarizes the essence of employee retention. Yeah, this one. This was widely circulated on WhatsApp, but it is very apt for this presentation. Yeah, can you play this? Please go up. Yeah, you'll be able to play.
So the bigger challenge for us is how do you retain people? Because many a times the freshers, when they come in, within 6 months, 1 year after you train, they leave.
Yeah.
So that has been a big challenge which we are still trying to address. We are thinking of looking at some kind of a retainership, at least 3 years.
Won't work.
Huh?
Won't work.
I don't know. So
I'm
just
saving you time.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So that's why I was just trying to figure out how do we do this.
So I want you to understand this. The world of business has seen 3 generations. The industrial revolution, the information revolution, and now we are in this revolution called the social revolution. Industrial revolution, people took a job for survival. They wanted basic necessity of roti, kapda, makan. So they went in and they worked in a workplace, and they didn't leave that workplace even if the boss was abusive, and even if the boss would physically beat them up, people would not leave. That was the era of boss is always right.
Yeah.
Because opportunities were less.
Yeah.
That is pretty much the grandparents of today's workforce. Then came the information revolution, where all these IT companies, brands started building, and the workforce then came to work not for survival because their parents took care of survival. This workforce went to work for standard of living. Basically get a good enough salary to pay the house EMI, the car EMI, children's education loan. Pretty much your generation. You went to work for that, for standard of living.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now in this generation, loyalty reduced. Now the truth is that loyalty never existed in the first place. Loyalty didn't exist. There was no option. This generation, information revolution, got option. If they got a better quality of workplace and they got a better pay, then people would jump a job, right? Now this was the information revolution. Then came the third revolution. After 2008's recession, information revolution died. Today information is available for free. You can learn coding on YouTube. You don't have to, it's no longer a hidden knowledge. So you need to understand, now we live in a digital revolution or a social revolution where everything is social, which means today's workforce, they don't care about survival. Their grandparents took care of that. They don't care about standard of living. Their parents took care of that. Even the labor does not care about standard of living anymore, because even labor has Dish TV and Tata Sky in their house. So if you'll say, I'll cut your pay, or if you'll say, I'll bind you with a contract, they will say, thank you so much, I'm finding another job. Today's workforce needs something else. They want quality of life, not standard of life. Standard of life, parents took care. Today's workforce is thinking quality of life, which means quality of workplace, which means quality of job, quality of environment, quality of role, opportunity, learning and rewards, all of that. Unless you don't have a mechanism for that, you will always grapple with this retention challenge.
See, the whole thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Friends, we don't have much time left for question and answer. Those who have questions may please write and send across to us, and we will get it replied. Now I request Dr. Sinha to please hand over memento to Jaya madam. Will be by Dr. Indira Parikh. She is the ex-dean of IIM Ahmedabad. She had a wide experience in teaching in various universities and has also been the teacher of MEd and other subjects. all over the world. She has also worked as a teacher in an institute in France, and she will be sharing her experience and her knowledge about what we ought to be. So, Dr. Indira Parikh, please.
Namaste, everybody. I am taking the privilege of sitting and sharing because last week I was in Indore giving a talk to school teachers. And after giving a talk, as I was coming down from the podium, I had a big fall. But I did not break any bones, but I was in bed rest for many days. So I've just come back and I've had problems with my legs, so I cannot walk properly and I cannot stand for too long. So I apologize for that. Mr. Chairman of the panel, my co-speakers on the panel on the dais, I would like to thank Mr. Subodh Panchal and his team for inviting me to this conference to share my ideas, and to my audience who is sitting quietly and listening. My presentation is on how to make an enterprise transform into a unicorn. Now, because of the time, I'm going to show you one slide. This slide. And I have a paper, but the paper can be circulated later. But this slide will show you the journey of a unicorn, of an enterprise into a unicorn. You see, when I do my consulting with individuals and organizations, many times I ask the entrepreneur, how did you really start this? And most of the time they say it is by chance, it is by destiny, it is by luck. But I think that is just attributing it to everybody. When further I push people to speak of when did the idea come, when did the concept come, the idea has been simmering in their mind for some time because they don't want to be an employee, they want to have an own organization, they want to grow it into a very large industry, but they're afraid of starting with a big dream. So they start with an idea, start with a concept, and start with a few people. These people are employees, and they get intertwined like a family, which is the need of the hour for the organization or for the enterprise to start that way, so that the owner or the entrepreneur has direct access to everybody, the people have direct access to the entrepreneur, and the work goes on much faster, decisions get much faster. The environmental opportunities are many, so they start responding. And very soon they start to grow, and the company or the enterprise grows into a bigger enterprise. And then by the time they discover that they have grown to such an extent, it is already a decade gone over. Now is the time to take a pause, to reflect and to review where the enterprise is, where the people are, where the entrepreneur is. But this doesn't happen. The environment keeps them giving them orders, and the entrepreneur keeps filling the orders. And they keep growing. And at some point of time, they get really stuck because the individuals or the employees have reached their level of competence. They've reached their level of understanding their roles and responsibilities. And the entrepreneur is really stuck into a father figure or an uncle figure or an elder brother figure. And the whole organization becomes like a family. And therefore, all the pathology and dysfunctionalities of the family starts to creep in the organization. The workers will ask for more leave, they will ask for more benefits, they will ask for this, they will ask for... And the entrepreneur has trained himself, or the employees has trained him to become an appeasement policy. So he starts giving in. And eventually comes a time when the organization stops growing. decisions get delayed. The workers, employees don't do anything. They don't take initiative. They don't really take any decision when they can do so, but wait for the an entrepreneur to give them a decision so they don't have to take the blame. So if you look at the figure, the environmental opportunities give them all the spaces, all the possibilities, all the probabilities, and all the potentials of growth. But the internal environment starts to become stifled. They become quite restrictive because the employees have not grown, neither has the entrepreneur invested time, energy, and upgrading their skills, upgrading their perspectives into helping them grow to take bigger roles and bigger responsibilities. So opportunities in the environment are there, but the inner challenges, inner organization becomes quite challenging for organization to move. I was just helping out an organization and I kept telling the entrepreneurs, see, you are not trusting people. He says, no, ma'am, I'm trusting all my people, these are old people. I said, no, you are wanting that they come and ask you every single small decision. And when they do and you are out, it gets delayed by a week, by 10 days, sometimes by a month. That's an invisible waste of time, energy, decision, and growth of the organization. So he said, what is really invisible waste? I said, if you don't take a decision and they have to wait for 15 days, the production gets stopped. Now that 15 days production cannot be made up in another 1 day or so. So that's an invisible waste of 15 days of production, and therefore your marketing, and therefore your sales, and therefore your receivables. Now, but he says, they don't know, they are comfortable asking me. I said, they are comfortable, but you are comfortable of seeing that you are the king, and they have to ask you everything. So at such a point of time, the role of leadership has to change, the role of employees has to change, and it actually doesn't change. Then when I asked him, you are now 10 years old, what is your next vision for next 10 years? He said, what is a vision? I said, vision is something which you start looking beyond the horizon to say what you are going to do, what you have not done so far, and what are your dreams and aspirations. Then the leadership says, how do I have dreams when there is no reality? I said, dreams can only become real if you make it real. Now, this organization, I've been having a dialogue for about now 1 year. Very difficult to move them. But I'll give you another very positive example. In 1996, I had a woman managing director in a manufacturing unit. So she came and said, Indira, please help me, I need to grow my organization. So I said, you must do what I tell you to do, or what I at least ask you to do, given what your organization is. She said, okay. Now, after 15 years, her organization grew to 250 crores, and now they are moving towards 500 crores. Now, this is because of the employees, because of the leadership, and employees need to be trained in understanding how to work in a medium-sized organization and not a small-sized organization. How many of the employees can take a leadership role? So you have to do an assessment. So I did an assessment of the 30, 40 people and identified 5 people who could be given leadership roles. And they actually did very well. And they also outgrew the organization and they left the organization. And our previous speaker was talking about how to retain the how to retain the employees. But these employees needed to leave for them to grow. If they had to stay, then the organization had to grow. But the organization got stuck at about 250 crores, and the people who left went and became managing directors of much larger organizations. So there is a drive in the people, and unless the organization can fulfill their drive, their aspiration, their ambition to grow into bigger and bigger role responsibilities, it doesn't help. Then once you have a vision, then you need to have strategic thinking. Then the top management or the senior group of people need to sit down and do strategizing as to what kind of policies, what kind of systems of appraisal, what kind of systems of appraisal they will design to see where the managers are moving. And there are lots of such assessment scales which tells you what are the potentials of the individuals, how far they can go, and how capable they are, and how competent they are, and how their competencies can be increased. For example, I just met a person from Mahindra's. I had done work for them from 1996 to 2005. I had done 47 workshops for them. Now, in the first workshop, I had asked, what are your issues? And all the issues which came out were of grievances. हमको पैसा नहीं है, हमको कहिए नहीं है, चाय ठंडी है, खाना ठंडा है, वगैरह वगैरह. All the issues which were not related to the tasks or to the responsibilities. Now, by the time we came to the fifth workshop, all the issues which they focused was माल नहीं आता है time पे, the boss takes a long time to take a decision. All the issues were related to the organization. Then after the strategy and after the vision, they need to have the values of upgrading the responsibility and taking self-level responsibility of what they should be doing. And the structure needs to be designed, because many times the structure is the issue, because if the structure is not designed properly, then there are problems in the people which cannot be managed by people. So one has to look at the structure, one has to look at the systems of appraisal, whether the appraisal is inclusive of what is being rewarded, whether adequate rewards and punishments are given. See, if we become a family, we don't punish. We say, chalega, 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 and very soon, the employees get used to saying, everything will chalega here. So one has to be disciplined, and one has to exercise authority, and the policies have to be such that policies have to be followed regularly. And the processes of the organization in terms of transparency needs to be very clear. I'll give you one example. In my, it is an academic example, but it applies to an industry also. When the appraisals are being done, when I was in Pune and started Flame, first the appraisals are based on, yes, he teaches well, she teaches well, the feedback is good, but the responsibilities taken were very few. If you give independent responsibilities, the faculty would come every few hours to consult and say, I need to have this decision. Now, I had set up committees, and I told the committee, you meet together with your committee members and come back with a recommendation. In half an hour, he came back with a recommendation, and I said, is it your recommendation or is it the people's recommendation? He said, no, it is my recommendation. I talked to the people and they all agreed. I said, no, the meeting has to be held and you need to discuss these issues. But Prof, it will take such a long time. I said, of course it will take a long time, but we want to develop a culture of the institution where faculty is participative and faculty is involved in decision making. So he went back and then came back and said, this is the decision. I said, this is not a decision, this is only a recommendation which the executive committee will discuss and then implement if it seems institutionally correct. So all these processes need to be clear in an enterprise so that the enterprise built itself a culture of excellence and a culture of growth and a culture of people taking responsibilities for their own growth. So training programs people don't like because they said we know everything. but actually they don't. And when they do come to a training program or a managerial effectiveness program, they realize how much they don't know. So if you want to make an enterprise a unicorn organization, you have to look at financial systems, you have to look at the leadership, you have to look at the employees, and you have to make a kind of a community in the enterprise which works to its very best effectiveness. Now, I think I have 3-4 minutes left, so I will end with a story, and I love telling stories. Because until I got married, my bua used to tell us stories because there were 17 children in the family. So there was always a young child who would be told stories. Now, this is not from her, but this is from a friend of mine who wrote a story called A Mountain Who Loved a Bird. The story goes something like this, that once upon a time, far, far from here, but just around the corner, and long, long time ago, but just yesterday, was a land. And the land stretched for miles and miles and miles. The sad part was nothing grew on this land. In the middle of this land was a great, mighty, majestic mountain. And the sad part was, mountain was a bald mountain. Nothing grew on it. It had been there for centuries and centuries and millenniums, but nothing grew on this land. The rains would fall, the sun would shine, the winds would blow, and the dates and years would go rolling by. Once in a while, the mountain would see some black specks in the sky come from this side and go to that side. So the mountain would wonder what they were, but then forget about it because it had lived like that for ages and ages and ages. One fine day, as the mountain was witnessing these black specks going from one direction to another, a very strange thing happened. A very tiny, tiny black speck started to float down the skies. And after some time, it plonked on the mountain. Mountain did not know what had happened. Nothing like this had ever happened to it. So then a very tiny, squeaky voice came out. Mr. Mountain, can I build a shelter? Can I take shelter here? I'm going from one direction to another direction. My wings have been managed. I need some shelter. Mountain did not know what to do. So it shouted in its gruff voice, oh, you may, because he did not know what else to do. Then the blackbird, it was a blackbird, so she introduced herself and said, I'm a blackbird. I'm migrating from one place to another. And then she talked about all the lands she had seen, the water, the mountains, the hills, the two-legged creatures, the four-legged creatures, the schools, the temples, the colleges, the mandirs, the mosques. She told the mountain everything. And 3 days passed. And the little bird said, Mr. Mountain, thank you so much for giving me shelter. Now I must go. Now Mr. Mountain was so absorbed in his listening to the bird. He says, why must you go? Why don't you stay? And the bird said, go I must, for if I stay, I would die. But the mountain pleaded and the mountain begged, and the little bird said, Mr. Mountain, you've been very good to me. So what I will do is, I will ask my eldest daughter in her next journey to come and visit you. For she said, the lives of birds are very small, so I'm not sure how long I will survive. And then it went on, the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter, the friend bird, visited the mountains. After several such generations, the bird was leaving again. And this time the mountain pleaded and begged and pleaded. But the bird says, go I must, for if I stay, I would die, because there was no shelter there. And the bird said, I will come next year, and flew away. The mountain was so sad, it felt so bad, that out of his huge mountain body, a huge tear flowed out. And the tear started going into the crevices of the mountain, in which lay the droppings of many generations of the bird. Then came the rains, and then came the sunshine, And one fine morning, the mountain woke up feeling very, very strange. For across its mountain, a whole tiny, tiny sprouts had come out. And then came the seasons changed, and the rains came, and the sunshine came, and the winds blew. And over a number of years, the whole mountain was covered with small shrubs, to small plants, to small trees, to giant trees. And the whole mountain was covered with the forest. Then one day, when it was time for the bird to come, this time, not one, not two, hundreds and thousands of birds with a cacophony of sound landed on the mountain and said, Mr. Mountain, now we are here to stay. We will build our nests, rear our children here, and now you will not ever feel lonely again. The moral of the story is, if an enterprise has to become an institution, and as our previous speaker said, retain people, then we have to create an environment within the organization where people will stay, where people will flourish, and people will grow. It is the need of the country today to have small enterprises which will recruit more people, and India has the best knowledge of being entrepreneurs and creating small enterprises and making them into unicorns. So those of you who are starting your organizations, I would say, please make it into a unicorn to be proud of, and unicorn across the country, and to be able to recruit lots of people to make the country grow into the real potentials the country has. Thank you very much, and God bless everybody.
Thank you, Doctor, for a very interesting, lucid, and useful presentation. May I request Dr. Sinha to please present a memento to Dr. Indira Parikh.
Can I call now Mr. Vinayak Das?
That's not my name. My name is Binayak Das. So there has been a last moment change. So I am here to present. And what we are trying to do is to get back to the pandemic time, a little bit of it, and we'll try to find out what exactly are the learnings and how organization can learn from it. So, first of all, thank you, Chairman, sir, the IFC board members, IFEX team members, my fellow speakers on the dais, distinguished guests, and my fellow Foundry men and Foundry women, both. So, I'm going to talk about how to face challenges arising out of pandemic. Well, the pandemic is about to come to an end, but since this content was decided much before that, so I think it is still make relevant to all of us, and we can learn something out of it, and we can be better prepared for future. So this is a very much equation which we all know, that everything in life will always come with one point, which is a constant. The constant will always be there with us. Now, during the COVID times, there has been a lot of changes happened across the globe, and we are not even aware of it. But the thing is that these changes which happened, this was never heard by the current generation. And it became to such a unimaginable proportion, and we had a very less time to prepare ourselves. And we all know that the impact is still going on, and it is going to continue for some more time. And now some of us decided that to call it as a new normal. We said this is the new normal of our lives. But I still feel that the new normal setting up is still not done. The things are going to change. Some changes which we are going to like, some which we are not going to like. But the bottom line is that whatever is the feeling which you have, we can still find some opportunities out of it. So we are going to talk mainly about those opportunities which are relevant for the business perspective, because the audience here is all from the business side. So I'm going to restrict my talk on them. So this we all know that these are things have happened during the pandemic. There was a supply chain disruption. The things have gone out of control. The freight charges has gone up. The critical raw materials was not coming. People were not in the foundry working full time on every end of the industry. And finally, we started realizing that we have so many challenges around us, which we are unable to manage at the same time. So how do I do that? How do I make sure that in my organization, if similar things are currently coming up, then how do I prepare myself in the coming times so that my organization, my people, my company doesn't get, or maybe least get impacted on top of that. So with that thought, we said, let us try first with people who are in the front of the customers. And those are people from the sales and marketing background. Now, they are the front side of the customers, and we all know what kind of challenges they face whenever they are meeting customers. But I feel, as my personal opinion, and these are all my personal opinion, I still feel that any frontline sales and marketing team has three major jobs to keep. One is to keep serving your existing customers through uninterrupted supplies. And the supply word is coming because of the pandemic. So all these points are taken with the context of the pandemic in mind. Secondly is to continue to nurture the existing business relation which you already have. And how do you participate in the new projects? That means how do you enhance or how do you increase the association which is already with them? Now, during this pandemic time, these were very tough for everyone to do. But overall, what we said is that the customer needs to be serviced and retained by offering something which others can't give, which is purely on the supply security. Because in a global disruption, getting the key input raw material or any other raw material is the paramount importance of any industry which run 24/7, 365 days in a year. And that is something which will make sure that every one of us will make the customer delighted by end of doing such practices. And when you help the customers, and the customers can be anyone, you will delight them, you will make sure that the relationship, the bond becomes stronger, and you become a first choice on all their new projects. So these are the couple of pointers. If implemented properly, they will be able to help you to sail it through these difficult times. So my couple of mantra for the sales team is, which is on the screen, that please hold on to your key accounts, keep servicing their regular requirements. And of course, you keep providing them value-added services, which is like a new grades or a technical know-how, technology, just to make sure that they keep an edge over their competitors. And when I say they, means our customers have an edge over other competitors, and they have a better position in the marketplace. So this is something which is very, very crucial for them. We come to the next point, which is the purchasing and sourcing team. So traditionally, you know, the purchasing team has a one priority to get a product at a discounted market price. That means whatever is the market price, the job of the person is to get below that. While this was good, till the time everything was smooth. But when the going gets tough, your life becomes even more miserable. So when things become heavier, all the non-serious players, those who fly-by-night operators, they just disappeared from the scene. They leave you vacant, and you don't know what to do, how to refill your gaps. In order to refill your gaps, you go to the current suppliers who are very, very structured. They want to stay back for long. So that's the time when you realize that these getting associated with a quality supplier or a vendor or a partner is more important than looking to save some few pennies, which you will save anyways, but at the time of losses, they will take away 100x times of those losses from you, whatever you have gained by saving some pennies. So my suggestion to the, and recommendation to the power sourcing team was that just to look for reliable sourcing partners. Don't go after too much of saving some pennies, and finally you are entrapping yourself into a much bigger mess. We have seen them during the initial days of COVID and second wave of the COVID. We helped a lot of them. But in order to make ourselves learn from these experiences, we should avoid doing that. Again, everything isn't going up. The finance has a big problem. How to manage the working capital? Suddenly my prices are going up twice, thrice. So with the same amount of capital, I am buying now 1/3 of the raw material. So what do I do? So either I increase the payment term of the existing customers, or I do something else. But I will still say that there are much other ways to improve your cash flows. And those cash flows can be done. Some of the observations are written here, but these are only indicative from our perspective that these can be a good pointer, and you can build on them. You can build on these pointers to make sure that you can still manage your cash flow in a healthier way rather than leaving it unattended and making it even worse for all of us. Again, same is production. Production's job is to produce quality product at a cost-effective solution and a good quality product. That's the job. And they can do it, which is a very common thing in industry, is to keep improving on your process control. So that it has to be a continuous process. We cannot say that we are now fully improved and I don't do anything. Pandemic has taught us that there is always a scope of improvement over whatever we have done yesterday. I can still improve on it. So this is something which is there. And these improvements don't happen from the top, which means the top cannot drive those improvements. They can only guide. They can only give a vision. But finally, everything comes from the bottom. So if the people down the line in the shop floor or in the production, in the operations, in the maintenance, if they are not aligned to your thinking that they have to improve in whatever they do, reduce waste, that will not be taking very far. So that is something which is a production people has to do. Something on human resources. I heard my earlier speaker talking about human resources and that, and I have some of my points which are a little bit of on a very hard note. And basically, I started looking after. I'm thinking that the human resources, they still give too much of weightage on the qualification of the candidate, and the competencies what they articulate at the time of job interview. But I will say that those days are. I'm not sure whether it will come back, but now we have to look for candidates who are good at multitasking, those who are innovative, that means they will continuously improve, and at the same time, they should be self-inspired. Like this inspiration has to come from inside. I cannot, but I don't expect everyone to be self-inspired, but at least key people, if they are self-inspired in their key position, they are good enough to drive any organization. And that is something which is very, very important. And secondly, upgrading the employee skill is a continuous thing. It should not be left to a part of an annual exercise once in a year or twice in a year. So it has to be a continuous process. Now, since most of my audiences are owners, partners, directors of their own company, they know much better than us than how to manage resources, and they have been doing it for so many years. But I would still say that in order to keep your employees retained, we have to first treat them as a real asset. We create opportunities for them. That's what my previous speaker said. Empower them. And when I say empower them, in true sense, I think Dr. Parikh said also, empowering is not there. And once you do, I think these three pieces, they'll be able to deliver beyond your imagination. And when I say in a positive sense, they will deliver much beyond that. So if I have to conclude my thought, then I can go back to the previous one, which is that the change is going to happen, and we have to learn a lesson from it. As an individual, it is our choice to leverage the experience and prepare ourselves for the same. And as a famous history said, that if I don't learn from the history, then very soon the history will repeat itself. So it's right time that we learn from the history, make suitable corrections, understand our limitation, understand what opportunities are in the front of us, and we go ahead. Thank you.
Dr. Sinha will present the memento to Mr. Binayak Das, please. The last speaker.